What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Nash here. Welcome back to the channel. Now, before we get started with today's deck profile, the road to 200 subs has now come to a close, and we are now on the road to 500 subs. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe we might hit 500 subs by the end of the year. Only time will tell. But as I have said in previous videos, if this channel does get to 500 subs, I will open up this Korean LOB booster box in its entirety on the channel that I got from my partners over at Collector Store. So be sure to check them out. Link and address will be in the description below. By checking them out, not only does it support them, it also supports the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it. On the hopes to potentially pull a Blue Eyes White Dragon, a Dark Magician, a Red Eyes Black Dragon, a Piece of Exodia, Monster Reborn, Pot of Greed. The possibilities are out there. However, if this channel gets to 1,000 subs, I will open up this first edition Toon Chaos box in its entirety on the channel that I also got from my partners at Collector Store, on the hopes to potentially pull a collector's rare from this set. But it wouldn't be the first time that I pulled a collector's rare, because I also pulled this. Freshly pulled out of my Genesis Impact box opening that I did a few months back is a collector's rare B-Cop from the Underworld. This thing looks absolutely beautiful as a collector's rare. The centering on the back is a bit off from top to bottom, but honestly, it really doesn't matter, because this thing has the potential to become a PSA 10. Is it possible? Only time will tell. But with that being said, if you guys want to see those boxes get opened, maybe you guys want more episodes of WWE's Biggest Issue. Maybe you guys want more episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh's Biggest Issue, deck profiles, card discussions, WWE topic videos, or maybe, just maybe, you guys want some premium live event predictions and results. Well, if you guys want all of that and more, my channel is the place to be. So if you guys are new to the channel, and I know that a lot of you guys are, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, smash that thumbs up button on this video, and as always, make sure you guys are following me on all of my social media. My ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And I want you guys to post in the comments below answering the question of the day, which I guess in a way it kind of does tie with today's video, because we are in the spirit of Halloween. Because right now, today, at the time that I'm recording this, it is Halloween, so happy Halloween to you guys. The question of the day is this: which Halloween-based deck do you guys want to see me do a profile on in the future? Let me know down in the comments below, because for today's video, in the spirit of Halloween, I'm gonna be doing an updated Sacred Beast deck profile. Honestly, it's been quite some time since I've dealt with this deck, but with the new support that we're gonna be getting in Phantom Nightmare, in the form of Phantasmal Summoning Beast, I figure, why not? Why not give this deck a bit of an upgrade and see how it works out? And honestly, it came out amazing. It came out pretty fucking good. So let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into it. Kicking things off, we've got one of all three Sacred Beasts. We've got Haman, Lord of Striking Thunder, Raviel, Lord of Phantasms, and of course Uriah, Lord of Soaring Flames. Also, before I forget, before I go any further, if you guys are new to the channel, the way I do these deck profiles is this: I talk about each card that's in the deck, and then within about an hour or so after the video gets posted, I post a photo of the deck on my Instagram. So make sure you guys follow me on my Instagram. My ads will be in the description below. But continuing on from there, you really only need one of all three 3 Sacred Beasts. I know that some people say that it's better to run it at 2. Funny thing is that running multiple copies of each Sacred Beast can oftentimes be a brick, because you really don't want to see any of the Sacred Beasts in your opening hand, unless if you see cards like Opening of the Spirit Gates, cards like perhaps, you know, Dark Beckoning Beast, or even Chaos Summoning Beast. If you see one of those 3 cards, then you know what, it's not much of a bad thought to have at least 1 or 2 copies of a certain Sacred Beast in the deck. But for the most part, you only need 1, because funny enough, the main card that you're gonna want to summon the most is Hamon, Laura Striking Thunder, mainly because of the fact that Cerulean Skyfire can as the card says, as the effect says, that as long as you control Hamon, you can negate any spell or trap effect activated by your opponent. Meaning that Skyfire can negate counter traps no matter what. It doesn't matter what counter trap your opponent may throw at you, whether it's a Solemn Warning, whether it's a Solemn Strike, Solemn Judgment. It doesn't matter if it was what was it? Salmon Gray Roar. It doesn't matter. This card can negate any counter trap just by switching Hamon by switching Hamon's battle position from attack to defense. And honestly, that's a pretty powerful combo right there, to say the very least. Next up, we have a single copy of the brand new Phantasmal Summoning Beast. Here's the thing. The second effect, the second effect really doesn't make a damn. The second effect says that you can banish this card from your grave, add 1 Dimension Fusion Destruction from your deck to your hand. The thing is that I'm not running Dimension Fusion Destruction, nor am I running any of the two Armor Tile Fusions, because honestly, they're kind of bricks. They're basically bricks, to be quite honest. So you're only using Phantasmal for 2 things. One, is its first effect, which says you can tribute this card, add 1 Uriah, Hamon, or Raviel from your deck or grave to your hand. Then you can special summon a level 10 Pyro, Thunder, or Fiend, whose attack equals its own defense from your hand, ignoring in summoning conditions, but it cannot attack directly this turn. So if you add, let's say you add Hamon off of Phantasmal's effect, you can automatically not only add it to your hand, but just special summon it right off the bat, and then activate Cerulean Skyfire, and you're pretty much just off to the races from there. But the second thing is for synchro summoning. Funny enough, I actually have 3 different synchros. I have one in the side, and I have 2 in the main. But the 2 in the main might just surprise you. Excuse me. It might just surprise you of how crazy the extra deck is really going to be. So it'll be interesting, to say the very least. But those are the only 2 reasons why I'm running a single copy of this card, is because of that reason. And you only need 1. If you run multiple copies, just like with the Sacred Beasts, this card can also be a brick. Speaking of bricks, I am also running 2 copies of Dark Summoning Beast. This is a classic. It's a classic a classic GX card. And all you do, the only difference between Phantasmal and Dark is that with Dark, you get to tribute it and summon any of the 3 Sacred Beasts from your hand or deck, ignoring their summoning ignoring their summoning conditions. However, you're not allowed to attack for the rest of the turn, which is a bit of a downside. But honestly, if you're able to open with Spirit Gates turn 1, and you know that you're being forced to go first, then the battle phase portion of Dark Summoning Beast's effect really doesn't make a damn because going first, you don't conduct your battle phase going first. It's mainly going second that makes all the difference. And plus not only that, if you get impermed, if Dark Summoning Beast gets impermed, you can just link them off into a card like, say, IP Masquerena, and you can just go from there, which is absolutely insane. Speaking of Dark Beckoning Beast, I am now running 2 copies of Dark Beckoning Beast. Originally, I was running 3, but I cut it down to two because I needed to expand my danger package just a little bit. But not only that, opening of the Spirit Gates acts as a Monster Reborn for not only Phantasmal Summoning Beasts, but for Dark Summoning Beasts, Dark Beckoning Beasts, and Chaos Summoning Beasts as well. So you could just reborn any one of these, and then next turn, if it sticks around, then you're able to use their effect and then go into another Sacred Beast, or if you feel like that you need to use them as link material, then you can summon one of them, go into a card like, say, IP Masquerena, and then if you have more monsters on board, then you can link those off plus IP, and you can instantly make a card like, say Underworld Guys of the Closed World, or even also Unchained Abomination, which Unchained Abomination is actually pretty nuts. So, but this is actually really cool because Dark Beckoning Beast is basically your Stratos for the whole deck. So it lets you add either one of the Sacred Beasts or a card that mentions the Sacred Beasts in its text. So cards like Chaos Summoning Beast, cards like Spirit Gates, Fallen Paradise, Awakening of the Sacred Beast, even Cerulean Skyfire, you can add to your hand. So Dark Beckoning Beast is basically your combo starter, if you will, which is pretty cool. Next up, we have 2 copies of Chaos Summoning Beast. This card basically just helps you. This card just basically helps unbreak your hand, and if you have a Sacred Beast in hand, and it's a brick, you can tribute this card, summon one of the Sacred Beasts, and you're good to go. And you're pretty much just off to the races from there. Plus, it also has a terraforming effect when you banish it. So that effect says you can banish this card from your grave, add 1 Fallen Paradise from your deck to your hand. It's essentially terraforming, which is absolutely insane. And not only that, Chaos Summoning Beast is level 1. That gives you that basically is link fodder to summon Link Karibo, which Link Karibo in this deck is pretty fucking nasty because you can just summon, because if you have Spirit Gates on board, you can just continue to summon Chaos Summoning Beast over and over and over again, which gives you more fodder for Linkuriboh to trigger its effect to tribute itself and make your opponent's monster's attack 0, and you could just you could just repeat the cycle over and over again, which is absolutely insane. Speaking of the danger package, we do have that. So we have two copies of probably four of the more better dangers in the series. So we've got 2 Bigfoot, 2 Thunderbird, 2 Nessie, and 2 Chupacabra. Bigfoot, whenever it's discarded, you can target face up. You can target a one face up card that your opponent controls, and you can destroy it. Thunderbird focuses on set cards that your opponent has. Nessie lets you add another danger from your deck to your hand, except another copy of itself. And then Chupacabra has two purposes. The first one is obviously link fodder, but the second is kind of an interesting one because when it's discarded, it acts as a monster reborn, which is absolutely insane. So you can basically reborn a card like say Bigfoot, and if you have a tuner in hand, you can summon that tuner and go into an 11-star synchro, which this extra deck that I've got basically has an 11-star synchro, which is absolutely insane. Speaking of tuners, I am running tuners in this deck, but this one might be a bit weird, and I'll explain. I'm running 2 copies of Gen X Ally Birdman. Now, I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. You have to think, wait a minute, Gen X Ally Birdman, why? What's this card got to do with the Sacred Beast deck? So here's the thing. Let's say for example, your Dark Beckoning Beast gets impermed and you can't use its effect, but you have let's say Danger Bigfoot and Gen X Ally Birdman. The idea is for you to bounce Beckoning Beast to your hand, special summon Gen X Ally Birdman, activate the effect of Danger Bigfoot. Activate the effect of Danger Bigfoot, and if Bigfoot does not get chosen, not only could you special summon Bigfoot from your hand and draw a card, but it's, as I said, Gen X Birdman is a tuner. So what do? You tune Birdman to your Bigfoot, and you can instantly get an 11-star synchro in the form of Psychic and Punisher. Yeah. Or as a thought, if you have both Dark Beckoning and Phantasmal Summoning Beasts on board, you can bounce Dark Beckoning Beast to your hand, special summon Gen X Ally Birdman, and then sync Phantasmal with Birdman, and you can instantly go into a card like Baron de Flor, which Baron, even still today, Baron is still a nasty card. So that's pretty much what that's the reason why I've got Birdman in here, is because of that reason, because of the fact that I've got synchros, and it's absolutely insane. Not only that, but Chupacabra plus Beckoning Beast, or actually, no. Dark Summoning Beast plus Birdman, you can also go into a level 8 synchro in the form of the one and only Scythe Framelord Omega, which I am running in the side deck, just in case if if one of my Link monsters or one of my Xyz monsters or whatever doesn't really work out, I can side one of those cards out for the Omega, and I've got basically three synchros that I can summon right off the bat, which is absolutely insane. Speaking of tuners, for my hand traps, I've got 2 Ash Blossom and 2 Ghost Spell to round out the monsters, which is insane. Moving on into the spells, for the 1-ups, I've got the 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, the 1 Call By, and the 1 Rank Up Magic Numeron Force, mainly because of the fact that Bigfoot plus Thunderbird or 2 Bigfoot and 2 Thunderbird can instantly make number 107 Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. I can then activate Numeron Force, go into the one and only Neo Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon, and Neo Tachyon basically becomes an imperm with wings. Plain and simple. Not much else to say about that. We got the 2 copies of Cerulean Skyfire. Again, as I talked about earlier, Skyfire acts as a sort of like a negation for pretty much any back row that your opponent may have. You know, it could be you could literally prevent your opponent from ritual summoning, which is hilarious. So this deck can actually work against ritual heavy based decks. Like I think what's a good example? Vendrids. We all remember the Vendrid decks from the days of full powered Pepe. That was a nasty format right there, pretty nasty. So this card, absolutely insane. Two copies, can't go wrong with that. 2 copies of Pot of Avarice, mainly for the dangers. So you get more fodder to go into your links and whatnot. But this is also in here just in case if you want to resummon the Sacred Beasts again, and all 3 are in your graveyard. You can take one or maybe even 2 of them plus any 3 monsters, put them back into your deck, and you draw 2. It's that simple. Not much else to say about that. Then of course we got 3 Opening of the Spirit Gates. Again, this is basically your Rhoda for the whole deck, but it also has a sort of like a really weird Monster Reborn effect at the cost of discarding a card from your hand. So if you have a card like say Danger Bigfoot in your hand, and you know that you're not going to be able to get its effect off, then Bigfoot basically you can basically discard Bigfoot, special summon back, I'll say Dark Summoning Beast, and then Bigfoot's effect would trigger, and you could pop a card that your opponent may have, which is absolutely insane. Plus, not only that, if you control one of the Sacred Beasts, you can also add any continuous spell from your graveyard to your hand, in which the only continuous spells that are in this deck are basically the 3 Spirit Gates plus the 2 Skyfire. So, do you really want to use that effect? No, no, you really don't want to, unless if Skyfire is in your graveyard and both copies are in your graveyard. In which case, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's totally fine to use that effect, but for the most part, you're only using Spirit Gates for its Rhoda effect and its Monster Reborn effect. So with this card, it's Reborn, it's Rhoda, Reborn, Spell Reincarnation, I guess Spell Reproduction would be the more better term. But you don't have to send cards from your hand to your graveyard to do so, which is pretty insane. And then to round out the spells, we got 3 copies of Fallen Paradise, because obviously it's a pot of greed if you have a Sacred Beast on board. and also 2 copies of Mound of the Bound Creator to pair off with Haman, because with Haman, if whenever it destroys an opponent's monster of a battle and it gets sent to their graveyard, they get dealt 1,000 damage. With Mound, it doubles that, dealing your opponent 2,000 damage to them. So that basically puts them on a 4-turn clock. Excuse me. Depending on how the board state looks, if you will. So this card, absolutely insane. Moving on into the traps, I have a single copy of Waking the Dragon for one particular card in the extra deck, which we'll get to here in just a moment. 3 copies of Awakening of the Sacred Beast. If you have all 3 copies on board, woohoo! You are gonna have quite the floodgate on board, because depending on how many Sacred Beasts you have on board, this card can get nasty. So if you have at least one Sacred Beast, every time your opponent normal or special summon a monster, you gain life points equal to that monster's attack, which is insane. If you have at least two Sacred Beasts, then you get to basically negate literally the activated effects of monsters your opponent controls. So it's sort of like so I guess in a way, it's kind of like a continuous imperm, I guess if you will. But if you have all 3 Sacred Beasts on board, then this card basically becomes a macrocosmos, where any monster that is sent to your opponent's graveyard gets banished instead. But what would happen if you have all 3 copies of this card and one of all 3 Sacred Beasts on board? The amount of life points you get would be tripled. You would be able to negate multiple monsters, and it doesn't matter how many copies of this card is on board. It would literally take your opponent a Twin Twister to literally a Twin Twister plus a Cosmic Cyclone to or even perhaps a Harpy's Feather Duster, or even a Lightning Storm, to remove all 3 copies of Awakening, just so your opponent didn't have to banish their own monsters. That's how crazy this card is. And then to round out the whole main deck, I've got 2 copies of Solemn Warning, just in case if the opponent really does commit to their board and they summon a monster that is too problematic, I can just activate Solemn Warning and the card gets destroyed right off the bat. But if it gets paired, but here's the thing. Solemn Warning paired off with Awakening is pretty nasty, especially if you have all 3 Sacred Beasts on board, because instead of the card getting sent to the graveyard, it gets banished instead, which is a pretty nasty play right there. Moving on into the extra deck, I'm going to go from Lynx to Synchro, because this lineup is insane. So first up, I've got obviously the IP Masquerena, obviously to go into obviously Link Climb into your Link 3 monsters, Link 4, Link 5, whatever you may have at your disposal. Link Karibo, obviously because of the fact that Chaos Summoning Beast is indeed a level 1, and Link Karibo is still to this day still a pretty formidable Link monster, even though it only has 300 attack. Then of course we got the Nightmares. We got Cerberus, Phoenix, and Unicorn. Cerberus destroys destroys your opponent's special summoned monsters. Phoenix focuses on the back row, so it acts as like a kind of like an MST, if you will. And then Nightmare Unicorn is basically a back to square one, where you can bounce your opponent's cards into their deck, which is then shuffled, which is absolutely insane. Then of course we got Decode Talker as sort of like a solemn judgment with legs, if you will. So it's not too bad, but it basically gains up to 1500 attack, 500 for each monster this card points to, and it's absolutely insane. So it literally can go up to what, 28 to 3300, which is pretty insane. Pretty insane. And again, as I said, it also acts as sort of like a solemn judgment, if you will, which is absolutely insane. Then of course we have 2 copies of Unchained Abomination. So one thing is that if IP plus any two of your monsters, you can make one Unchained Abomination, and then the other Unchained would be for the Phoenix, plus to link off the Phoenix or the Cerberus for plus any 2 other monsters. You can go into the Unchained Abomination, which is pretty cool. But also IP has another function. You can use IP plus 2 of your monsters and 1 of your opponents, and you can automatically summon Underworld Gods of the Closed World, because IP can count as 2. It counts as 2 monsters because of its link rating, which is absolutely insane. And Underworld Gods is just a fucking house. It's basically Appaloosa, but even better, basically. So not much else to say about that. Now for the Xyz monsters, there's only 4. So for my 1 Waken the Dragon target, I've got Cyber Dragon Infinity. This card can basically attach any of your opponent's monsters to itself as material, which gives you fodder for the one and only Zeus, which I am running a single copy of, because obviously Zeus is a fucking house. And then of course, and then of course Tachyon, and then of course it's Chaos form, Neo Tachyon, and then of course our singles we got Baron as a Solemn Judgment, and Psychic and Punisher as a way to just end games right off the bat. Not much else to say about that. For my side deck, is a bit of a weird one, but you guys will understand once I talk about it. So to go up against the Runic decks, the Kashtira decks, and also the Tearlament decks, I've got 2 copies of Nibiru the Primal Being and 2 copies of Droll and Lockbird. Droll is in here because of the Kashtira deck. So because of the fact that Kashtira does a lot of searching, once you drop Droll and Lockbird and you send it to your graveyard, your opponent can't do anything about it. They won't be able to do anything about it, and the only thing that they can do is just pass. That's it. That's all. That's literally all they can do is just pass, and that's it. Not much else to say about that. We got the one Frame Lord Omega, mainly because of the fact that if you banish, cards like your Chaos Summoning Beast, your Dark Magnetic Beast, or whatever, and you need fodder for Linkuriboh or whatever, Omega is in here to take those banished cards, put them back into your graveyard, and if it gets sent to your graveyard, you can take literally any card that's in your grave, put it back into the main or the extra deck, plus Omega goes back into the extra deck, which gives you another chance to summon Omega, and you can continue to but take cards from the banish pile and put it back into the graveyard, which is absolutely insane. Then of course we got 2 copies of Lightning Storm, only for the Runic deck. It's only in here. This card is only in here for the Runic decks and the Tearlament decks, and also to the Eldritch decks. Eldritch is also a really interesting deck that still sees a little bit of play here and there. Like, if I remember correctly, I think Eldritch was seen in YCS Indie from what I had seen on social media. So that's it's still a formidable deck to go up against. And Lightning Storm basically literally just tells your opponent, hey, fuck you. Plain simple. And then we move into the traps. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 copies of... We have 4... Or, actually, sorry, no. We have 2 copies of 4 different cards. So we have 2 Royal Prison, 2 Imperial Iron Wall, 2 Imperial Custom, and 2 Zing Zang Hu. Royal Prison is kind of a funny one because it says neither player can special summon monsters from the graveyard. Funny enough, Kashtira, Tearlament, Eldritch. Three of the main decks that can summon monsters from the graveyard. Even Heroes as well is another one. Royal Prison basically prevents that from happening. Imperial Iron Wall is kind of a funny one because this is only in here if you're going up against if you're playing against heroes and they summon Dark Law, you can just flip up Iron Wall, and Dark Law basically becomes a 2800 basically a 2800 vanilla. If I remember correct, I believe it's it becomes a 2400 it basically becomes a 2400 vanilla beat stick. That's literally all it is. So yeah, it's kind of a dumb one. Plus it also stops, funny enough, it stops Pot of Desires, Pot of Prosperity, and a couple others as well. I want to see what... Let's see, if I remember correctly, it's Pot of Prosperity, and Pot of Extravagance. Yeah, Pot. So Desires, Extravagance, and Prosperity are the 3 pod cards that Iron Wall can stop, which is hilarious. Then of course the Imperial Custom is only in here to ensure that all of your continuous traps stay where they are. So let's say for example, some of your danger cards are completely useless, and you know that you're not going to be able to get a whole lot of value out of the dangers. You can side one of each danger out, put in one of all 4 of these cards, and you basically not only have more continuous trap floodgates, but there's also another purpose, and that is Uriah. Uriah is basically Slifer. Is basically I wouldn't say a bargain-based Slifer, but a much more interesting version of Slifer, because it gains 1,000 attack for each continuous trap in your graveyard. So ironically enough, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It can go up to 7, literally up to 11,000 attack, depending on how many copies of these continuous traps you are in your graveyard. But Imperial Custom is basically a protection. It's what's known as a protection floodgate. So the effect of Custom reads: face-up continuous traps cannot be destroyed by a battle or card effect except this card. Can only control 1 Imperial Custom. So funny enough, this card basically just protects all of your continuous traps from being destroyed, which is absolutely insane. And then Zing Zang Hu is only in here to so when your opponent sets their back row, once they reach their end phase, you can flip up Zing Zang Hu, and boom, boom, your opponent can't activate those back row unless if Zing Zang Hu gets destroyed. So honestly, this is a pretty crazy ass deck. I'll be posting the deck list on my Instagram, so make sure you guys are following me there. My ad will be in the description below. And with that being said, that'll do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed.